What's up, Blueprint family? How are you all doing tonight? Thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for watching this video. Um, and we have a special topic for you all tonight: establishing roles in a relationship in modern times. This is a good one. Understanding roles is very important, so that we don't misunderstand where we stand in their relationship, and we know how to provide our best.
Yeah.
Um,
And have effective collaboration,
right.
right? Within a marriage. Because you have to. If you're looking to come together with somebody, you have to know your role so that you can fulfill it.
Right.
What?
Mm,
Look, thought you had to say something. Well, I think that in particular, this really starts by just having a simple discussion and coming to agreement on what you want and you expect from your partner or your spouse, however you want to look at it. It's the expectations that you want to set forth for the man and the woman. Of course, this will vary greatly within all types of different relationships, but there really are like some key essential roles that a woman and a man should play in order to make sure that you're really getting the best out of your natural traits,
right.
instinctual traits.
And then also to understand that um these roles may, as far as what the characteristics of the roles or the services or what you're providing in the relationship may change depending on the time and depending on what event is going on in your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So understand to be flexible in defining your roles, but some roles are pretty much set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you all communicate, especially early in your relationships, to understand that both of you play a major part in keeping the relationship together
Mm-hmm.
and seeing what that looks like.
Yeah, because clear understandings in advance will help you avoid any miscommunications and arguments that, like you said, will occur because you just aren't on one accord.
Right. Most
And that
definitely.
sucks.
So, talk about the unexpected.
Yeah.
In the case that, your wife gets pregnant, I understand what those roles look like ahead of time,
Hmm.
for the men.
Yeah.
And for the women, in case, your husband may become disabled. Who
Yeah.
knows? You need to have those real life conversations.
Yeah, I think in general too, even just in general, what a healthy relationship looks like and those roles, because in reality, statistically, not many of us are actually growing up in households where we see that physical example of a good husband and a good wife. We're just not directly exposed to it in the way that we should be, that would really give us the first introduction of our roles
Right.
and how to fulfill that, and even wanting to be comfortable and taking on such roles. Because in particular, especially when it comes to men, I always think about, man, if you don't have that manly role model in front of your face, it can really be discouraging or even like in a way intimidating, because you can't look at a woman and possibly know how to be a husband from her. So that's, a really tough position too.
Right. And then, especially for women, if you haven't seen that dynamic of a man and a woman, as far as in
Hmm.
them being in a marriage, women may not understand how to cater to men or what that looks like. But
Hmm.
fortunately, my wife has a wife course on the wifeconomics.com website that can basically give you all of that information. So that's a good
Yeah.
place and a good reference and a resource to look at.
Yeah, but tonight, even better, we're going to hover over the details that may be overlooked, but in particular that would apply to all relationships. So we really kind of went general here, right? But it's beneficial for all relationships and it's going to apply to both the men and the women. So I think, because you always like to tell me, and it's important that we know, men do control relationships. Y'all are the ones who first establish
Yeah, we
this
established.
relationship,
Mhm.
right? So, in that sense, I think it's important to start with the man, the
Right.
first role for a man.
Right. And so number one, so
Hmm.
start with number one. Yeah, it's not that men controls, but we more so we choose relationship.
Yeah, and control the progress. I mean, like as far as if you're gonna move from boyfriend to girlfriend
Right.
into fiance
The
into wife.
transition.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
yeah,
Men dictate the transition
yeah,
of a
yeah.
relationship. Me, and, case in point, um, when have you seen the last time a wife proposed to a man?
Hmm.
You get my drift. So traditionally, and let's go back and just some background behind that. Men propose to women because men more so are the providers.
Yep.
And
First one.
usually what they say is that the woman's ring is the indicator of the man's salary.
Yeah.
What I was told was that a man's uh, proposal ring, the ring that he
Mm-hmm.
provides to the wife, is at least 1 month's salary
Mm-hmm.
of what he makes.
Should be. Yeah.
Which I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you don't have if you
That's
don't
what they said. It
right, that's
should
what
be.
they say. But
Yeah.
I mean, but if you're really trying to get that girl to say yes,
Yeah.
that's where all of that comes from.
Now that has nothing to do with roles. That's pretty materialistic because in the end, a ring will
Well,
not necessarily define it. But
the man choose the relationship.
yes,
I
the
was just
man.
giving
Yeah.
some background about proposal
Yeah.
and where that
I agree.
happened and
Yeah.
where that comes from and why the man gets on his knee.
Yeah. So let's go.
Yep. So that's his testament. He gets on the knee because he's in front of everyone. That's his testament. But number one, because the man controls the relationship or chooses the relationship, he should be responsible and should be able to be a good provider in the relationship. So number one, the man should be a provider,
And responsible.
right, and responsible
Mm-hmm.
in the relationship, meaning that you have to make good decisions. Make good decisions. You have to strive and make as much money as you possibly can to provide for your family. Um, and right, yeah, that's true. Mike, shout out to Mike. Appreciate the comment. Yep, communication is the key, most definitely. And also too, men, like I said, men are the providers. So you need to look to making sure that you can um, progress in your careers, do things that you can find ways to bring in more income for the household.
Mm-hmm.
In the case that if your wife is not working, but also that making sure that you are the best provider and protector for your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Because a good wife deserves a good provider and protector, and especially if you all want to have children. So you need to be able to be productive in those aspects, and those are the things that men usually thrive at. So
Yeah, I think in particular, it's instinctual for a man to naturally want to be the provider, and responsible is like key for that, a responsible provider. So that means that you will take the initiative to making sure, hey, my ducks are in order. I'm forward thinking. I'm continually doing what I need to do so that I'm providing and taking care of. That's the big part where responsibility comes in, because honestly, the man is responsible for the welfare of his wife. If he decides to take on a wife, he needs to understand that that's his responsibility. She becomes his responsibility. That's why, if you go back when you were talking about the man proposes to the woman, it's because the man is supposed to take her onto his kingdom, and she, helps make place and fit there. It's
right,
not so much that, oh, the woman needs to come in and also provide this and this and this, or that 50-50 thing where all that kind of comes from. I think in particular for women, make sure that you're looking for a man that has a plan in order, who is prepared and is responsible within the mindset of, hey, this is a big role that I'm undertaking, making sure I can be responsible in my decisions and my thoughts and my behaviors, taking accountability for completely all the behaviors that I have.
hmm and then also a man is a good prepper too. So he
Mm-hmm.
prepares his family in situations that he can see that are happening.
Yeah.
You minimize risks. Men minimize risks when it involves the family and making decisions, good decisions for the family.
Yeah.
Also, too, like my wife said, a man is responsible for his actions. So you have to make good decisions and be concise in your decisions and be confident in the decisions that you make,
Yeah.
depending on what regardless of the situation that you're in. the man has to be the protector. He has to defend his family at all costs.
Yep, that's responsibility.
Those are
Yeah.
the things that a man does, and that
Hmm.
is the role that a man carries out today for the family.
Yeah, I
Um,
like that protective because that's part of being she's your responsibility. So not only physically protect you in case something happens, but emotionally as well. And that plays into controlling yourself. A man isn't just one who acts without thinking. He should be methodical. He should really sit back and think, is this the best thing to do? How are my actions going to impact my family, myself, and everything else?
right, most definitely.
Yeah. So
So yeah, he protects his wife physically and also emotionally.
yeah.
So a man is also he is the protector of feelings as well.
Mhm.
So you want to make sure that your family, not only the wife is a nurturer, but also too a man can also be caring and understanding as well. That is one of the roles of a man as well, whether people want to believe it or not. But a man should pay attention to the emotions of his family and check on them and make sure as well if there is anything that he can provide or support for, then he is there to do so.
Yep. Yep. And that segues right into the woman being able to show, first off, respect. That is the biggest response in particular that a man looks for when he's looking to provide for someone that he loves and protect someone that he loves. He needs that respect for that position and that responsibility that he's taking on. That is huge. And it should be the woman's utmost respect to have for her man through her actions, through her talk, through the way
Her
she
kindness.
supports him. Yeah, all of that is huge. And it's really just bottom line how he's going to want to keep doing what he's doing if you show him that respect. He's looking for that in return. And that is a huge role that only you can provide if he is the one providing everything else, like the responsibility of the relationship, protecting and providing for you as well. So respecting him, that's huge.
Right, most definitely. Because being a man in today's world is hard enough.
Yeah.
We're living in times that are quickly changing and evolving, and the man really needs to keep up with the times for his family and understand
Yeah.
what is going on,
Hmm.
and try to foresee the future as much as he possibly can, and position his family as well as he can so that they
Hmm.
can thrive.
Yeah.
That's what today's man, modern man, is all about. As
Hmm.
far as raising a family, is making sure that you all are thriving in every
Yeah.
aspect. I mean, I'll go
Hmm.
deeper into that. Food prepping. Making sure that you have at least 6 months or either a year worth of food in your home in case another pandemic hit. God, or and then also too having toilet paper and thing. God forbid that we have another pandemic. Where you going to find your toilet paper, with all of these shortages going on. They're closing a lot of Walmart stores in every major city now. So it is very important for men to step up and understand that, hey, I want to better position my family in case something happens.
Hmm.
you know
Keeping up with inflation. That's big what you said about modern men in particular, because I think back then they didn't have so much of a quick inflation rate like we do now. So it is a huge deal for a modern man to keep up with it. And that kind of goes into the next big role for a man. And that's just really being able to work hard, right? A woman love a hard working man. Hell, everybody loves a hard working man at the end of the day. So
do
really,
they really?
yeah, for sure. That's how men
They
create everything from being hardworking.
Right. I mean,
You
they
don't,
should. Women should
yeah,
appreciate and understand and love hardworking men.
yeah,
Regardless of what your pay grade is for women. I
yeah,
only say that because modern women have looked down upon the hardworking blue collared man
yeah.
because they don't make as much as a career woman.
And I even think though that's a misconception
Mhm.
because it is a lot of blue collar men who do a lot of work that may not seem like lavish work, like plumbers I often think about.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure they
they're
probably
making
make a
money,
lot of
yeah,
money. Yeah, because you think about it, everybody needs a plumber.
or
So yeah,
electricians.
or electrician, right? Like who doesn't need that? So they're always in demand, and that within itself demands respect because that is a utility that is much needed. And we as women have to offer that respect for that. And another role for a woman is to be appreciative of that, like you had said. That's huge. So if you have that hardworking man who is fulfilling that role as a hardworking man, he is forward thinking, he is doing what he needs to do to position the family, appreciate that. Continuously appreciate that. It is no small feat to, if you wake up in the morning, you thank him when he leaves the house, even if you both are going out to make your separate ways, acknowledge what he is doing as the provider, and in particular, appreciate that. Tell him thank you for that. Men love that. And it really does give them that extra motivation to keep it up, right? And keep going. So that maybe even too, if you are working one day, he would retire you because he remembers how much you supported him, still got up with him, went out to work. And then that moment in time when you both were still working, it's just a nice dynamic if you are able to appreciate and support your man, even when he's not 100% in that full provider state at that moment in time.
Right.
Just appreciate what he's doing.
And then also too, women should inspire their men.
Yeah.
The majority of the confidence in a man comes from his wife.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the man's work performance is a reflection of his home. To be honest with you, so if he's fed, if he's if he's being fed, he has a kind wife. His wife is performing her womanly duties. Her wifely duties for him. You know what I mean? They're having sex like they should be, which is
That's
important to the
yep.
relationship. They're communicating often and in positive ways. The man is going to reflect that in the work that he does at on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
if his performance will show if he's getting support at home.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Anybody's performance will show on the job if they're getting support at home.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
is a big one, a big deal to a man, is making sure that he is, he's checked all the box, his boxes are full before he leaves the home in the morning.
Yeah.
He's fed, he has, nothing to worry about as far as his self-confidence and things like that. And
Yeah.
so he's able to compete in the workforce.
Yeah. And, of course, I will say respect isn't just a gender specific role. It is also very important that the man shows the woman respect as well, which comes in his ideology of being responsible, right? So you're not going to take advantage or do things that are disrespectful to your wife because you know your responsibility. So that's just a huge thing to both consider. Gender roles not really applying to respect. You really do have to respect your wife for what she does and the man for what he does as well. But also, men in particular respect a woman and knowing that she is more than just her body. That is a big one. Understanding that a woman isn't just supposed to provide, sex and such and such and such, and that really comes in a time where you may see postpartum after having a baby or something like that. Like understanding that a woman is not always able to be optimal 100% on point. We have menstrual cycles. We have different things that we go through every month. So just being respectful of who she
Understanding.
is. Yeah. And just understanding that she's a woman. So don't be rude and be like, oh, I don't care. You on your menstrual cycle, get up and do what you got to be doing. Da, da, da. Like, it's just a respect level of that, hey, you're a woman too. And I see that just as much as men, y'all want the respect of, hey, you're a man. And we see that, we acknowledge that, hey, we're women. See that we are, at times not 100%. Yeah, we are vulnerable. Yeah. And that is something that needs to be valued as well too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So our next one.
Number 3, for a relationship to be successful. Number 3.
We kind of already talked about that one, the working hard.
Yeah, that was number 2. We did that.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
We're at number 3. For a relationship to be successful, men have to feel that they're stepping up for you and earning your respect in return.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We had already kind of got that. Okay. I had hit on that a little bit. I'm sorry, I moved ahead. But when I was gotten into the wives, just in particular, that men want your respect. So
right, and it should be reciprocated. Mm-hmm. So respect goes both ways in a relationship.
Yep, like you said,
of course, and be appreciative of the services that you all are providing to each other.
Yep. Yep.
And number four, then the man should know how to be manly and not macho. So that means without the ego.
Mm-hmm.
So manliness means that think of grip strength. So, I can tighten my hand harder than my wife can, because I'm a
Mm-hmm.
man. That's the reason why you see a lot of men on construction sites and less women. That's the manliness. That's the man attribute
Yeah.
of men is our strength.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be able
Display
to
that. Yeah.
display your strength, and also your skills. Men are more analytical, calculative,
Mm-hmm.
so we can build a deck and do good things around the house and fix things. Don't
Mm-hmm.
rely on your wife to fix the toilet when it's broken. Things like that. Men
Yeah.
men should step up and be manly in their role and help out and fix things that are broken around the house. The yard work, I cut the grass around my house. My wife is horribly allergic to outdoors, so I make sure that I do all the outdoor work in my household,
Mm-hmm.
to support my wife, and she
Mm-hmm.
does a lot of the inside work.
Mm-hmm.
um and just understand the difference between being manly and macho. So don't go around and boast your ego and try to overbear
Yeah.
your wife and trying to be such an alpha male and push her around in the house.
Yeah. Because that
But
should be established. You're the man. Like,
right.
there's no need to beat your chest with her. Yeah. I mean, unless she's giving you a reason to beat your chest. And then, of
Mhm.
course, that goes to the supportive role of a wife, understanding, that you are to be feminine, right? So we'll get into that a little more. But I do
Right.
want to just talk about those manly qualities
Mhm.
in particular. Women love decisiveness. We kind of hit on that a little bit. Self-reliance, that is a huge one. And it looks,
Confidence.
confidence, that looks great to women. We love seeing that. Being able to make decisions quickly. So not only just being decisive and knowing what you want to do and go with that, but also being able to come to that quickly. It doesn't take you days and days of thinking about something, especially if you have a time limit on having to come up with the final
In case of
decision
an
or the
emergency
final
or something.
say. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
A man has integrity, and then
Mm-hmm.
also too, a man has ethics and morals.
Yeah.
um Ethics and morals are very important because that keeps you loyal,
Yeah.
always doing the right thing in a relationship. So that separates men and boys. Boys
Mm-hmm.
do what they want to do, men do what they should do,
Mm-hmm.
and they always do it. Men are righteous in the cause
Yeah.
of keeping their family together. So understand that a man is
Mm-hmm.
not somebody who's out here who can get what they want whenever they want it. A man
Mm-hmm.
is someone who's out here who's responsible, who's courageous, relies on his ethics and his morals and his integrity in order to provide for his family.
Yeah.
So also too,
Yeah.
he is also a brave. When the time is needed, to protect his family.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Those are
definitely goes to that. Yeah.
the good and righteous qualities are what make men.
Yeah. To be
Um,
manly and not
right.
macho. That's
And
so confusing.
right. And also too, he doesn't hold back when he has to say something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a righteous and justice cause. If he sees something that's being done that's wrong, he's able to speak up on it and say, "Hey, man, you shouldn't be doing that."
Yeah.
And also too, um, a man is also too uh, can debate. That's one of the qualities too of a man, is being able to debate on certain topics, whether it's current events, sports, things like that. Just having some sort of input and some sort of conversation, creating dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Men are able to do that as well. Women are too, but you shouldn't be afraid to speak up and have conversations that involve dialogue, or speaking up also too when there's something that is wrong that's going on, and you're ready to display your ethics.
Yeah.
So that's what a man does.
Yeah, for sure. And women like that. Real women will be able to recognize that. And actually, you're kind of drawn to that because it gives that security that a woman looks for in that safe space, and that knowing that, hey, this man has good ethics, good values, and I can trust that he's going to be the man that he says he can be. And in fact, doing these things, men pave a great way for a woman to rest in her femininity, because she's able to be vulnerable with you and knowing that you'll protect her. And so she's going to be kind and supporting that. She's going to want to play her feminine role within the relationship because you have stepped up to be that man that she needs you to be. That also means, women, you have to create the space for that. So don't have so much masculine energy to where your man isn't able to exude his masculine energy. So just really being able to first step into your role of being feminine and supporting that man in his role of being manly.
Right. And then also too, I'm gonna throw that in there again, being respectful. Because a
Yeah.
man doesn't isn't condescending when he talks to his wife. He's
Yeah.
understanding when he talks to her. And try to when it comes to arguments, you want to reconcile, negotiate, and resolve arguments. So you look to resolve problems and solve them. That's what a man does.
Yeah.
So
And he can also talk about issues without getting hot-headed
right,
or being, combative, or feeling like, it's a fight or anything. Both should be able to have that conversation, but in particular men, because y'all are more masculine, and which naturally is not aggressive, but it's strong. It's dominant, right? So that has to be in a way controlled sometimes when you feel anger or something, or frustration, you feel, and you're having these conversations, you being able to control your feelings is a huge manly trait, because women sometimes we can't, we're very feeling based. A lot of things that we do is based off of our feelings. So a man, what separates a man from a woman is that most of the things he does is not based off of his feelings, or at least should not be. And women in particular, when you're looking for a man, pay attention to if he's responding to things in a feminine way. Is he responding with his emotions when y'all have issues, or is he responding in a logical way? Is he coming with ways of solving problems, or is he further contributing to the problem? I think that's an overlooked role of a man, because a lot of times men are, well, boys are being raised by women, so
right,
they're naturally more feeling driven because that's what they see.
right.
So yeah.
And then also too, out of this, speaking of children, they see the example. So
Hmm.
and as a man being manly and not macho, they learn the correct way to be. Your boys, the sons, learn the correct way to be a man in the role of a husband in a relationship.
Yeah.
So they learn from their fathers.
Hmm.
So just
Yeah.
be mindful of that, man.
Yeah, and women, we learn from our mothers, and as in particular, if she was a wife, you would learn from her as well. That natural femininity is being kind. Femininity really is not wanting to engage in being combative, engaging in arguments, fighting, not wanting to contribute to that. That is actually a very feminine trait. You don't want to do those things. Naturally, you are very caring. You're wanting to be empathetic. You're wanting to be understanding. That is true femininity. I say this all the time, and especially within my course, I try to get women to really understand femininity has very little to do with outward appearance and so much to do with inward appearance. And in fact, a masculine man, will be attracted to that femininity because it is his polar opposite. And that's how you're going to come together in a collaborative effort to have a good relationship that's going to succeed throughout time, because you both understand your natural roles and are able to be in that and rest in that.
Yep. And then that's the segue to number 5.
Yeah.
A woman should be a feminine woman.
Yeah, so I was already on that. I guess I'm not even numbering these, because I was just like, when I thought about all of these, and too, and when we were thinking
Just
about the
segues.
masculine, just going back and forth. And that's the cool thing about us being able to talk about this as a man and a woman, actually in a marriage, because we're recognizing how these are supportive roles within this dynamic. And it's going to show in all male female relationship dynamics. So it's just really important that you're comfortable in fulfilling these roles first before you get into a relationship. Yep. So number 6, I guess we can go ahead and move on and start numbering.
All right. Number six, the man shows leadership by taking the first initiative. That is true. So the leadership qualities start to show here
Yeah.
at number six. A man is a leader of his family. What that means is that, for instance, if there is a decision for a vacation or a trip or something like that, and then you have to pack. Your wife may initiate and start packing the items, but you may initiate to put those in the truck. Just some things like that. You need to look for ways that you can help out,
Hmm.
and ways that you can show your worth to your wife as far as being a helper in a manly way.
Yeah, and
Um,
lead her.
right.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then also too, in providing her with knowledge as well. That was the one thing that I provided my wife, was in our good conversation, was my experience and understanding of how the world works
Hmm.
and things of that nature that inspired her to want to dig deeper and to learn more of what I knew,
Hmm.
as well. So,
Yeah.
and especially in during crisis situations or emergencies, a man is the one who's helping to provide the leadership and also the strategic planning of how to get out of the crisis or the emergency. So the man is the one who's able to lead his family to a safe space, and for in the case of fire, if there's a fire in the home, the man is up, telling the kids, get out the house, hurry up, making sure that everyone is safe, get the animals out the house. And if someone is left in that house, it is the man that would more than likely be the hero to save that person.
Hmm.
You don't look for your wife to go back in that house to save anybody. You don't.
Yeah.
That's up for the man to be show his bravery and courage to go and save somebody.
Yeah. I think that is one of the big things that I really admire as a wife to a man who is a leader, is in particular your ability to just say, I'll handle it. And then effectively go to solve problems. That is huge, women, for a man to be able to take on that leadership ability and not feel scared or or fear criticism, right? Because sometimes if you are going out and you are going to make a decision, being okay with if you get things wrong, right? That's okay too. You don't have to be perfect. Being a leader is not being perfect, but it's just about wanting to take that initiative. And women being okay with creating the safe space for that man to take that initiative. So, especially if he is making a decision and it didn't work out so well, don't beat him up over that. That is going to discourage him from stepping up and keep it pushing if something goes wrong. At the same time, men, don't let a woman ever discourage you or beat you down for making a wrong decision, because every decision comes with its own lesson. So you're definitely able to, keep going and still be a great leader. All great leaders don't always, do it right. So never fear that criticism or fear failure, but in particular, welcome the opportunity to take on and lead your wife, and especially lead your family if y'all are interested in having a family. Women really like that.
Right. That's true.
Yeah. And actually, if you want to go ahead and head into the next one, being a leader actually sets up the path for the woman to submit to your leadership, right? So, this really means that the woman is able to cooperate, able to follow, able to get onto your plan because she sees, hey, this man is wanting to lead me. He's not afraid of leading me. And I can think back in my bank of all his good decisions that he's made, his ethics, his values, his principles that make him a great leader, so that I can rest and trust in his leadership. Because it's really all it's about. Women, you have to make sure you pick a man who can demonstrate those leadership qualities to you so that you can trust in that and actually be submissive to that. Because if you're not, if you get a man and you're fearful of his ability to lead you, you're going to be combative in his decisions. You're going to be less likely to support him. It's not going to be as comfortable for you to say, hey, I'm just going to go with what you say. And especially a man when he's making the final say so in the house. That is a woman's role, to step back and let your man make that final say so. Doesn't matter if you think it's right or wrong. Again, it goes back to you being able to have first accepted a man and his judgment of character ahead of time before you decided to be his wife, so that if you get in a situation where there is a disagreement in, the decision to be made, you're still okay with backing down and saying, you got it, because that is his role as a leader, and it is your role to support that,
Hmm.
submit to that, and cooperate with him.
Yep. And being a helper,
Hmm.
being the helper, being the helpmate, trying to see the vision and helping him to execute the strategy and the plan.
Yeah.
That is a very important role, because without a someone without a supporter, without a helper, there is no leader. So you have to look at it both ways. The leader
Yeah.
needs someone to be led, and the person who's need the guidance and the leadership needs a good leader. So
Hmm.
and then, like my wife said, allow the man to make that decision. If there is a mistake, learn from it. That's
Hmm.
that's the best thing that you can do, and that both of you all will know what to do the next time a situation arises that is similar to what the issue is.
Yeah.
So just understand that, and it's okay. That is the normal thing to do. I think a
Hmm.
lot of women now these days have been so. I think people have been so selfish and alone that they don't know how to work together harmoniously,
Yeah.
and they fear that they're giving up um, their their selfishness. That's what they're giving up, is selfishness, in order to work together.
Autonomy, I think, is a good word for that.
Right. Yeah.
The ability to make your
Own
own decisions
decisions.
on your own.
Right.
Yeah, because that's ultimately the women, especially if you grew up with a single mother, right? You're used to seeing a woman make the decisions in the household. That's just something you're accustomed to seeing. And as a young girl, you may become accustomed to thinking, hey, I'm supposed to do this too. And,
Right. And it may be shaky. It might be seems you may be fearful and letting the man make the decisions.
yeah.
But what happens is that you both get better at it. You get
Mm-hmm.
you get better at
Mm-hmm.
dealing with your emotions and the decision making, and the man gets better at making decisions.
Yep.
So you never know until you try, and
Yeah.
you can't be the best you until you practice these role attributes.
Yeah. Yeah. And I honestly believe that once you have gotten to that point of where you're seeing that, hey, he may not always make the best decision every single time, but I am 100% committed to sticking by him because he's a great leader and I can support his vision and be there and really see him through, even when he makes, if a decision doesn't go the way we plan. We're still able to come together and regroup as a team, and not like, one against the other, where if the other one fails, you beat each other down. If you fail, y'all both fail. So yeah, and that's really, and if you succeed, y'all both succeed. So that's really just how it needs to be looked at.
Right. Facts.
Yeah.
And then also to the viewers out there, if you all have any questions, by all means, please chime in, and
Yeah.
we'll be glad to answer them. It could be about anything. If there's
Mhm.
your heart is burning with some sort of question, you got
Yeah.
something going on, we're here to help. So
Yeah.
feel comfortable.
Yep. As we continue on with these roles in a relationship.
Number 8. You ready for number 8?
Yeah, sure.
He and she should add, what's that,
Value.
value
Yeah.
to your life. So understand that the person, both people in a
Hmm.
relationship, you all need to be able to understand your roles in the relationship, to where it is actually um, like I just said, adding value to your life. So you are helping each other, you are supporting each other, you all are playing to you all's strengths.
Hmm.
And an example of that is, if the man is the one that's working, the woman, and he's retiring his wife, the wife is able to raise the children in the household while he's at work. The wife is able to basically manage the house.
Hmm.
She's the manager of the home.
Yeah.
She's cooking and cleaning, making sure the children are fed while the man is out working and providing for the family. Also, too, what about making more money? Ways to make more money in the household. Number one is trying to get her husband a new job. Help him write his resume. Help him spruce that resume up and submit those resume applications.
Yeah.
Another thing too that a wife provides, well, a man provides for his family, of course, is looking forward to um, practice interview skills. So because and to couple that with the wife putting out resumes, for him,
Mhm.
you have to play to your strengths. So whoever um, basically has a good shot at getting a better job and bringing money into the household, then by all means do it. If there's a
Yeah.
situation to where maybe the wife has to work, help her to find a job that's fitting for her. Because we all know that it's easier to get a job if you know somebody that's already there. See if anybody can get any references for your wife or your husband, and see if you all can land that job, or either find other ways to make money around the house.
Yeah.
Whether that's setting up an online store and the wife is doing something in the home, selling products or something like that,
Yeah.
clothing or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I
But
like that you were just saying though that it just doesn't even have to be monetary value though.
right.
Like
Right, exactly. It can be just playing to your strengths and understanding your roles in the relationship, so that you all can work harmoniously together.
yeah.
You know,
Because that's what it's really about, like the being able to recognize, like my husband was saying, the strengths and how you can help each other in the long run. So you don't want to work against each other. So naturally, if we go back to what my husband was saying about with the woman being able to stay home with the kids or whatever, naturally, believe it or not, women are great when it comes to managing the household more than the man would think about things. So we're great in particular because we take care of all the kids, we know all of their things that they need, that's always on our mind. That's just a natural instinct within us. So a natural role for a woman was to be the planner, was to be the scheduler, was to be the financier in a way. So those are really easy. And if you look at the school system, I even like when you were talking about considering helping your spouse rate the resumes and stuff like that. If you look at the school system, women, we are naturally more adapt to do the writing and stuff like that, and drafting, and be more but to be better with our words and stuff, so we can make things look a lot more presentable than a man can sometimes, because it's just a natural trait that women
yeah,
have.
we
We're
lack that
really
grace.
yeah,
Men,
yeah, that's a
men,
good
we do
one. Yeah.
lack that grace.
Mhm.
About especially organizing our words
Yeah.
and making sure that we stand out. And as far as our resume, women are better at um, you know, those type of administrative duties.
Mhm.
They are. They really are.
Yeah, and that's okay. Again, it's all about playing to your strengths. Don't make things harder than they really should be. These are natural roles that were kind of given to us in a way through our instinctual behaviors and instinctual characteristics. It's very much a biological thing, a cell running through the man's head for him to want to provide and protect for his woman. And it is very much a biological thing for the woman to want to be nurturing and caring. That's just how we are, and that's okay. So being able to recognize that and play to those strengths will really be beneficial, and it will help you to see where you can add value, right? So when we talk about a man in his position of maybe you aren't the complete breadwinner yet, but you and your woman have come to establish that you want to be the complete breadwinner, and she wants you to be that, and she wants to support you in that, then she would actively go and look for ways that she can help out with adding value to getting you to where you need to be. There's nothing wrong with that, women, especially when it comes to men who aren't as educational like we can be. Like women are always the ones to go after the degrees and stuff like that. So if a man isn't sometimes, and that's how you can elevate in your career, if your man doesn't want to be the one to sit and do the classes or learn the things, then you could possibly be the one to help learn the new things that he needs to learn to then be able to help him apply it within his business, bookkeeping, all these little simple accounting things.
Right, because that is what goes on in family businesses. You'll find that
Yeah.
out, that the man is actually
Yes.
doing the heavy lifting,
Mhm.
and the woman is doing the heavy administrative lifting of the
Mhm.
business.
Yeah.
She's the bookkeeper. She's booking appointments. She's answering phone calls,
Yeah.
while the man is out there, I don't know, digging septic tanks, or
Yeah.
working on cars, mechanic stuff, or booking. She's booking the electrical appointments and things like that.
Yeah, and basically, because if the vision is there, you can get to the point to where you are where you want to be at, to where he is the main breadwinner. You're bringing in a lot of money and things are really working out. It doesn't always have to start off that way. Usually it doesn't. Most of the time, it takes two people coming together to really help a vision flourish, truly. So just recognizing your value, your natural value, and what you're good at will really set you up when you start off your relationship and you're trying to establish. Because then, hey, you can come to your partner if you're just meeting and you're like, hey, well, I'm good at this, this, and this.
Right.
How can I help? And he can be like, well, I'm good at this, this, and this. This is what we're gonna do. Like, it's just our way of going about things will be so much better if we can all recognize our strengths within each other and what we're naturally really good at, and accepting that and being able to play to them.
Right. If nothing else, women and men, if you all can't add values to each other, the one main thing you should add is resourcefulness.
Yeah.
Being resourceful.
Yeah.
Finding ways that you all can save money, reuse, reduce, recycle.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I say that particularly for women.
Right.
And within my course, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's huge though, because within my course for women who want to marry up, which is fine. Hypergamy, that's what we're supposed to do. You're supposed to look for a man who is prepared to take care of you. But if this man is already set up and completely prepared to take care of you, sometimes that can trigger an insecurity to where you're figuring out, where is my value? How can I help? Well, then, yeah, that comes in being resourceful, not coming in being not a liability, but an expense. I guess that is a liability, but an expense, not coming in like that, but more so coming in and saying how, hey, we have all of this. Now I'm going to look and see how I can call saves, right? Call savings and stuff like that. That's huge. Or how we can, all of that stuff is beneficial too. Believe it or not, wealthy people like to save money. I ain't playing. I still use those coupons and everything else. And that's just how it is. Like, you look to save money and be resourceful. And if that's something that you're good at too, that can add value as well.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
And also too, men add value. Like I stated before, doing chores around the house. Also too, projects around the house, repairing, fixing things.
Save money that way. Right. Yep. Don't hire that plumber. You go on there and try to figure it out if you can. Yeah. Yeah, that's good. And again, that shows that leadership qualities that a women like, that idea that you can go out here and say, I'll figure it out. And this is, how I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to go and, get it done. So that get it done attitude is very attractive to women. So, yeah.
Yep. Get her done.
Yeah. And the last one, of course, our last two apply to both the men and a woman. But it's very, very important for both the men and the women to fulfill each other sexually in particular, because this is the type.
Mentally.
Yeah. Mentally, of course, we're going to get to that too.
Oh, okay,
but sexually in particular, because this is the only relationship that you're going to have, or you should, to where you are actually engaging in sexual activities with this person. So if you want your man to stick around, or you want your woman to stick around, recognize your role, that it is your job, unless you are medically not able, to provide sex for your spouse and mental support and mental sexual satisfaction as well. So that kind of goes into what you were saying as mentally complimenting each other, right? Being able to talk to each other in loving and exotic ways, I guess. Erotic ways. I was trying to figure out the way to say that. Being able to stimulate each other mentally and physically is also a big role that you have to fulfill within your relationship.
Yeah, because like I stated before, from a male standpoint, sex, the wife inspires the husband, and that is one way is through sex. It allows the man to feel confident, allow him to feel comfortable in the relationship. Sex it strengthens the bond of the marriage or the relationship that you're in. It allows you all to be closer together, more comfortable together, in whatever situation that you're in.
Yeah, I think when I think of coming to know your spouse, you know them unlike anybody else in your sexual connection, because no one is going to be in the room or know what you guys experience with each other like what you do. And that's really going to set that relationship apart from every other relationship that he has. So actively seek to sexually fulfill your spouse, men and women.
Right.
Men, don't try to wham bam, thank you, ma'am, your woman. Really actively seek to fulfill her, because that's going to spark her sexual drive as well and make her want to keep having more sex with you. If you actively make sure that, hey, she's getting pleasure from this as well.
Yep. And then also too, I want to talk about the mental aspect as well, because that's very important in today's society. Mental health.
Yeah.
My goodness. We all know that mental health issues are on the rise, and I think they're less prevalent in married couples.
Yeah.
Single people often have time,
Happily married couple.
like happily married
Yeah.
couples, but single people are mostly the ones who are having mental issues and breakdowns.
Mhm.
By all means, I think being in relationships, healthy relationships, help cure a lot of mental illnesses, because you do have someone to talk to and someone who's willing to understand and be there for you, support you.
Mhm.
That's what's going on. You have a support system whenever
Yeah.
you need it. That's what a marriage should be like.
Yeah.
Is having someone that you're able to talk to whenever you need someone to listen to you, and then that person is actively listening and seeking to understand you the
Yeah.
best way that they possibly can. Because it's easier to go through life with somebody, but it's very hard. It's harder to go through life by yourself, and I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people are missing in this time today. With the fact that people are marrying later in life, is that they're going through life lonely,
Mhm.
and they don't know how to, they don't have anyone to talk to,
Yeah.
or feel as if that no one cares. But I think
Mhm.
the best way to cure that is to actively date with the intention to marry somebody, and then you will have that support system for you that will take care of your mental situations
Yeah.
that's going on.
Yeah, understanding that role is huge to preventing you from becoming like a deadbeat partner, right? Getting into a marriage or a relationship and not wanting to fulfill that role, which is to be that mental support, and actively want to do that. Have those conversations,
Yeah.
engage and get to know your spouse.
I mean, because one of the things, mental health, everybody likes to, whether we know it or not, we decompress when we get off the job, when we come
Mhm.
home.
Yeah.
I'm telling my wife, honey, this happened at work today.
Mhm.
I can't understand, this why this happened. This happened, and it drove me crazy,
Mhm.
And then she's
Yeah.
able to provide me feedback and dialogue, and making me feel like she cares,
Yeah, a supportive
you
ear.
know.
Mhm.
And then she'll tell me about her day with the children. This happened, he did this, your daughter did this, I'm tired, and then that, okay, well, let me help you. Now that I'm
Mm.
here, I can help.
Mhm.
You do things to help each other. You play to your strength in your relationship, and you look to make sure that, especially mental wellness, that your spouse is mentally well. You care for her. Like I said, do things to help alleviate stress at times.
Yeah.
Provide each other massages, run some bath water, pour them a drink, give them their favorite candy or food or something like that, to
Mhm.
help relieve stress in the relationship.
Yeah.
Just be there for each other, be supportive. It's
Yeah.
hard doing this, being in this world alone, and it
Mhm.
is very easier. It's much easier when you have a support system, such as your wife or husband.
Yep. Yeah, I often think back in the Bible, it's just something I remember as a young girl growing up. In the Bible, God had to bring Adam back multiple times because he would jump from the ledge. And for whatever reason, whether it was pressure from all the things that God had assigned him to do to, you
I'm
know,
talking about the missing books,
yeah,
lost book.
yeah, one of the lost books in the Bible. Yeah, just talked about how Adam often would jump from the ledge and God would have to always bring him back. But one of the key things that he noticed and that we always remember is that he was lonely. So that was just one thing that contributed to poor mental health, not having that spouse. So even in a relationship, it's super important that you're still showing up to be that supportive person for your wife and for your husband as well. Being willing to have those conversations and even being empathetic and caring about, if your spouse is going through things, how you can help make them feel better. Believe it or not, women, as much as we sometimes don't want to admit it, sex is a great way to help a man feel better and help him really release that stress from the day to day. It's just a great way and a great tool that you could use to uplift your man. It just really is. It would motivate him, it would give him confidence, especially, believe it or not, even if he's feeling low or down, a woman being able to come in and say, "Hey, I still love you. I still want to show my love to you in this way and connect with you in this way," is so encouraging because he feels like even when he's not his best, he's still able to get that love from you just like he would be. Women are quick to want to hop on their man when they do something great or something like that. Also, be quick to hop on him when he's not. It would really help him to perk up and get, back on track, especially if he has mentally been led astray in some ways because of work or, whatever it is. Just that's a great way to really be able to connect. Men, mind, and sex go hand in hand. So, yep, do we know?
All right. You want to summarize this up, honey?
Ooh, okay. Well, I think that's a good idea because establishing the roles in a relationship in modern times can be really hard. So, coming in with these general ideas of these are the roles that a man and a woman should both be looking to provide is going to help prevent a lot of disagreements, misunderstandings in the long run, right? So, the first one that we talked about was that a man was able to be responsible and a good provider. So, men, make sure that you're prepared to take on that wife. You, as much as we want to say, you control the relationship as far as progression. So make sure that you're financially and mentally prepared to take on that responsibility. Your wife would be your responsibility. Make sure you're ready for that. And the woman, make sure that you are ready to support him in that role, right? So being able to respect him for the work that he does is a huge role to have to fulfill in order for him to continue reciprocating that. So definitely being able to show him that respect in the relationship and appreciation for what he does is a huge, simple role that can be fulfilled with every day acknowledging thank you for what you do, little things like that. That's super easy to do, but it's a huge role that needs to be done. Also, men, make sure that you are stepping up and being respectful to your wife as well, because we talked about that being a role that isn't, gender biased. So definitely being respectful for a woman and being her feminine and what she is and who she is. So taking responsibility for her mind as well. And a man should be manly and not macho. We talked about all the traits of a man, how he is decisive, how he has strong convictions, confidence, self-reliant, has high morals, values, all of these things. He's brave. He doesn't make stupid, rash decisions. All of these things are good values that you as women need to make sure that you're looking for. You want him to be a leader. All of these things are going to help set you up so that you can then step into your role as being a submissive, supportive, cooperative wife, right? You want to be comfortable in this. Don't get yourself in a position where you're not comfortable being able to submit to this man's leadership. You want him to lead you, make the way, right? The next, to be a feminine woman, of course, is kind, loving, caring. We talk about this all throughout my Wife Economics course.
Funny.
It's so many traits within a wife. I literally cannot go through them all in this one video. So wifeconomics.com is really, really a great source for you to go to and learn how to align yourself with the values and the ideologies of a wife. It's really a mindset. It's not something that you just turn on and off. Being feminine is not something you just turn it off.
Especially if you don't have an example.
Yeah. If we don't have an example, it's really big that you know what it really means to be a wife and understanding that. Yep. And then also too, we talked about the leadership, making sure that you're able to go ahead and step into that leadership role and you're willing to follow that leadership role, and also adding that value to each other's life. Make sure that you're looking to figure out how can you add value when you're coming into this relationship. What is your key strengths that you can add into the relationship? What are the things that you're good at? It doesn't have to be monetary, especially women. Most of the time, it doesn't need to be monetary. Think about the things that you're naturally good at. Are you good at handling money? Are you good at planning things? Are you good at scheduling? All of these things are great resources that a man will be able to use. So, figuring out how you can add in your value is huge on helping a man decide, hey, this is somebody that I am willing to take on as my wife and invest in as well, because he should be adding value to you. Make sure that he is doing that. He is protecting, he is providing, he is giving you that comfort. That is huge. You need that. That is what is going to secure you and wanting to continuously be a committed wife. That is, it's like make or break, honestly. Really, really is. You have to make sure that this man checking off all these values of what makes a good man is really going to help you feel safe in your ability to be a good wife. That really, I think, plays a huge part, because you have to be vulnerable, and a level of vulnerability is very scary, especially when we grow up having to be so strong, right? So you want to be able to know, hey, I'm safe being vulnerable with this man and I'm willing to do it. And the last one that we talked about was being able to sexually and mentally provide and support your spouse. That is a role that nobody else should be fulfilling but you. So do not neglect this role, because then somebody gonna come in and fulfill it for you. So take your pace, what you want to do. That's a kind of make or break thing, but it's definitely big. And a lot of women, I think, neglect it sometimes when you think about health issues. One key thing that I think about is right after giving birth. I had 3 natural births. There is a break that you have to have health wise after you give birth. In those times, though, still making sure to please your husband. Don't neglect him. Just because
Be
you cannot,
creative.
yeah, be creative. I'm not going to get into this too much. I kind of do it within my course because we can get a little deep more than I can say on our social media platforms. But make sure that you're being creative and still providing those sexual duties to your man, regardless. Come on now, you're just part of the role. So fulfill that. You don't want no other woman to fulfill it. So make sure that you're doing it. And men too, definitely fulfill your wife. That's really going to help her want to keep giving it to you and coming back.
Right. Yeah. Pay attention to body language. And then also to support each other, help each other with the mental health issues
Yeah.
that you all are facing as well.
Yep.
All right.
That was a quick summary.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate you all coming out tonight. Thank you
Yeah.
for our Instagram, Facebook viewers. Thank you for our YouTube viewers and our comments today.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we want you all to have a good night.